Hello, people of Earth. How are you doing today? I have a very random uh idea for this video. So I wanted to talk about the book and movie for This Is Us. I actually read it a couple months ago, or most of it. I skipped over some of the diary entries because honestly, like they were boring. And I don't know if I went back to reread them. I think I did. But anyway, I read enough of it to be able to talk about it because I the diary entries aren't like that important. Like there's one entry that's super important, that's about it. But anyway, after watching the movie and the book, I have some thoughts about this about to say franchise, but that's not the right word, about this world that Colleen Hoover has made. First of all, let's talk about the elephant in the room. I know it's Colleen Hoover. I know. Look. Colleen Hoover has a very specific reputation on BookTube, but if you go to Book Talk, you're gonna get a different impression of her. I feel like Book Talk is a lot more. I don't want to say forgiving of her writing. I think you can tell that I don't like Colleen Hoover. I do not like not as a person. I don't know her as a person in order to make that statement, but I do not like a lot of the the books that she's put out into circulation. From what I've gathered from them, I've only read It Ends With Us. I've heard that's one of her better books, and if it's one of her better books, then I'll read the other ones for fun, and by fun I mean to tear apart online. But what I haven't really heard anyone talk about It Ends With Us is that it is basically the skeleton of a good story. It has all of the right pieces, but it's just the writing is so atrocious. I cannot tell you, like there's so many things. There's all these obvious criticisms, right, that I think are brought up in other book reviews, movie reviews, how the main character is called Lily Blossom Bloom and how that's cringe. And there's other criticisms, like, she writes diary entries to Ellen. So, okay, maybe I should explain this a little bit better. So, they do flashbacks or they jump, and they do time jumps in It Ends With Us, both in the movie and in the book. And Lily goes back. They show her like flashbacks in the book via her diary entry. So they just pull out a diary entry from when she was a kid and stuff, or in high school. So she writes diary entries to Ellen DeGeneres. This is a real thing because, and this is her reasoning, it isn't cool, to write in a diary or something like that. First of all, what is so much cooler about writing to Ellen? Like, Ellen DeGeneres surprisingly has like more than a minor part in this book. If you have read the book and you go to the movie, you can see it more. But I think her middle name of their kid is Dory. That's their middle name is Dory from Finding Nemo, and they play Ellen DeGeneres in the movie too. If you read the book, you know that that's actually like something that Atlas, her love interest as a kid, and her, like, that's something that they normally did, was watch Ellen DeGeneres after school and stuff. And from what I remember, Ellen was on at 4 o'clock, so that would make a lot of sense that they would watch it after school, because most people, get out of school at 3 o'clock unless you have a sport, but they didn't have a sport. So anyway, and I just don't understand, like, why that's the reasoning, because I think it would have been, there's like something there, like if she's writing diary entries / letters to Ellen, right? That's a cover up for a diary entry. I feel like you can really play with that, like the fact that, Ellen was like something very regular and routine in her life, and she wrote the diary entries to her because writing in her diary was also something that was routine, and writing her diary gave her comfort just like Ellen did after school. But that's not what they do with it. So it just kind of makes it seem really weird, and I don't really like that. Um I don't like the reasoning because I don't think any high schooler is thinking that writing in a diary is less cool than writing a letter to Ellen DeGeneres about your intense drama. Even though she never sent the letters, obviously, it was obviously just a cover up for her to have a diary, but whatever. And then also, why is Atlas 18 years old and Lily, I think, is 16 at the time when they have intercourse? That's weird. That's just weird. It's very ambiguous in the movie, but if you've read the book, you know that he's 18 and she is not 18, so it's like, you know, weird, very weird. Yeah. Like, why couldn't we have made him 17 or they're both 18? I don't really understand why Colleen Hoover doesn't seem to see that it's weird that he's 18 and she's 16 when they're doing stuff. That's weird. And I wish that they had changed that in the movie explicitly, but whatever. They leave it pretty ambiguous. Or I wish Colleen Hoover would address it because it's weird. It's weird. Anyway, moving on. I also think that the idea of having like a past romance kind of come like loop back around in the future in the way that it was done in the movie and the book, I think that that is something that can work, but the way that it's written, the movie is actually better than the book. So if you watch the movie thinking, man, this is cringe, you're gonna read the book and be like, this is really cringe. What the because again, this is a skeleton of a good story and plot line, because the whole plot of having someone who was your childhood romance, that provided solace and comfort from your abusive dad, and his relationship with your mom come back around and save you from your own abusive relationship in the future. I think that's something that can work pretty well. It's just the execution of it in the book that really bothers me. I think in the movie they did it a lot better. Ryle, also the way Ryle is written is really weird to me. Like, I feel like we're supposed to feel for Ryle in the book, more than in the movie, but like I feel like we're supposed to feel for Ryle, like, cause he killed his brother when he was really, really, really young, because he found his dad's gun and thought it was a toy, and they were playing like some cowboy game or something, and he shot his brother. And of course it was an accident, he didn't know, but it's obviously a very tragic point in the story for Ryle, for his sister. His sister becomes Lily's best friend. I forget her name right now, but that's really sad and all. But that does not give you a. That's not an excuse for abusing someone or being cruel to someone. It's not. Just because you have a past traumatic experience does not mean that it's okay to do what what Ryle was doing to Lily. It's not an excuse. And I feel like I don't know why that was added in other for us to feel sympathy for him, because it's honestly unnecessary. A lot of abusers have had past trauma. Again, it's never an excuse to hurt someone else or to cause harm to someone else. It's not. It's never an excuse, and I don't know why that was put in there other for us as readers, us as the audience, to feel sympathy. I feel like, I don't know, it was just really weird. I don't like it. I don't like this concept of trying to sympathize with abusers like they come from a traumatic story. Yeah, a lot of abusers come from a traumatic story. Lily also comes from a traumatic backstory. And she's not abusing him, Anyway, Um, so it pisses me off so much. Also, I know there was a lot of hate for Blake Lively following it ends with us like press tour, and there's so much to unpack there. First of all, she named a drink from her wine label or alcohol brand or whatever after Ryle. Ryle is an abuser. How do you? I don't understand how you can sit there and be like, okay, I'm in this movie. I'm gonna name one of my drinks after the abusive character that my character literally throughout the whole movie is trying to move past and get away from. What is the logic there? There is so much with this movie and with this book that is so bad and not handled very well. I really think, again, my thesis of this video is that it was the skeleton of a great story, of a great um it was just the skeleton of something that could have been great. I think the acting was good in the movie. However, I don't know, Blake Lively was her character is so unlikable. But the thing is, after reading the book, I can't blame her because the character is just like how she portrayed her. So I can't blame her. So I have mixed feelings about Blake Lively's performance for that reason. I think that I forget the guy that plays Ryle. I know him from Jane the Virgin. It was so weird to see him go from Jane the Virgin to Ryle. That's that is crazy. Raphael to Ryle was crazy jump. Okay, I know that this video isn't like super concise. I don't mean it for it to be super concise. I just want to say like some kind of my thoughts about what the movie was like in comparison to the book and what the book was like. I think one thing about the book that I will give it credit for is that it's very easy to read through. I've seen other people who've rated it low. I think I rated it 2 stars. Other people who've rated it low, they say the same thing, like it's easy to read. I think Colleen Hoover, she wrote it as it's very easy to follow, easy to read. However, the writing's bad. Like there's so many times where it's almost going like I don't understand why the characters are reacting the way that they are reacting, or like their inner monologues are also like concerning. And I know that a lot of people don't want to like bash It Ends With Us the same way that they have bashed November 9th by Colleen Hoover, because It Ends With Us was a personal book for Colleen Hoover. Because if you didn't know, I think it's it was inspired by her mom's relationship, and which I am so sorry for her mom for having to deal with that. I go into this video and I criticize this book as the book itself. I'm not criticizing someone else's life because I don't know what inspo is taken from real life. I'm criticizing this book, as a fictional piece of writing. I'm not, obviously I wouldn't be tearing this apart if it was like a memoir or like, something that was very clearly like everything that happened in this book was true. That's not what happened. That's not the impression I got from this book. This book is a work of fiction, and so is the movie, obviously. So I'm criticizing as a piece of fiction, but I've been told, and when I say I've been told, I've seen online that this book is one of her best, and honestly makes me want to read November 9th and Ugly Love, because I've heard those are some of the worst. I'm gonna go on a bit of a tangent. I don't know why Colleen Hoover is so popular. I get that they're easy to read books, but I feel like I'm missing something when I read them, because I feel like people love these books so much, especially on Book Talk, and I don't understand it. I don't I've read it. I don't understand it. I can see why this book would resonate with people who have been through what Lily's been through. In this review, I didn't really go into like what Lily went through. This review is meant for people who've read the book or seen the movie or both. This isn't a blind review. You should, if I'm not gonna explain what I'm talking about. But I just don't understand Colleen Hoover's popularity. I want to read more of her books just to. Some of the books are actually like the plots are crazy, but I know the writing is trash because the main issue I had with the book was the writing. I honestly thought I liked it in the beginning, but as I kept reading, I'm just like, this writing is so bad because the inner monologue is just not well written. It doesn't feel real. I feel like I'm reading Gabby Hanna's shower thoughts type of writing where like it just or it doesn't like it reminds me of adultolescence where it's just not a lot there. You know what I mean? Like there's not a lot going on. I feel like I'm reading the same things over and over again. I don't feel like Lily is like that circle of like denial of like and kind of gaslighting and manipulation that's going on. I don't get that impression when I'm reading it. Like it seems like he's a good guy deep down, and then it's the next chapter. It's like, are we gonna explore like your thought process through this? Like, because I felt like it was so brief and so the descriptions were so small for like how she's feeling and dealing with what Ryle is doing to her, and I just don't understand why they weren't more in depth or actually like they held weight, because I felt like I was hearing the same thing from her in a very I'm not gonna say concise because honestly it was like too concise. I mean like in a very thought-provoking way. I felt like the writing is just not up to par for a subject matter this serious. I just wish that the writing had more depth to it. I wish this book was the same amount of pages, but like what was in those pages meant more, like in terms of describing the inner dialogue, because that was the main issue with the writing for me, was the lack of description for the inner dialogue and justification, like the justification Lily gives herself for staying with him, for leaving at some points, coming back at certain points. Like I wanted to hear her inner dialogue for those things so I can fully understand where she's coming from, and I just did not get that. So anyway, notes about the movie that I haven't said yet. I really do think it was cast really well. I will say, I think when it comes to the writing, look, I don't love the movie because I don't love the book. I really don't love the movie. I think the movie's better than the book. But it was cast so well. I don't care. Blake Lively, I don't like her anymore. I'm on that bandwagon. I've seen enough to a point where I'm like, yeah, I don't really want to be your friend. But I do think it was cast well. I think she played the character as well as she could have, because honestly that is how Lily is in the books. So can I really get on someone for acting well with a bad character? Not really. I was struggling because when I was watching the movie, because I'm like, is she like playing this character badly, or is the character bad? And honestly, after reading the book, I have to say the character is just kind of like that. I think she genuinely did play the character as intended, and that's that. The movie did really well. I was actually really surprised. I feel bad for all the people who went in thinking it was going to be a warm and fluffy romance, because it's not, obviously. Yeah, like, I feel bad. I knew about, the DV because I am very familiar with Colleen Hoover. Anyone who has been on BookTube since what was that, 2017, I think, is when I was into BookTube, 2016 even. I forget when I started posting content on this channel, but when I was really into BookTube, that was 8 years ago. I've known about Colleen Hoover for so long. I've seen tons of videos about how her writing sucks and about how her topics are they're very intense, but the writing does not hold up, and I have to say that I agree with that. So I think that is the end of my video. Key takeaways: the writing is bad. She had good concepts there that were not delivered on. And the movie was better than the book. I kind of slurred my words. The movie is better than the book. All right. I have dyslexia, so that's why I have issues with words sometimes. Anyway, that's it. I hope you liked this video. If you didn't, well, then you could have clicked off at any time. So that's on you. I'm just kidding. I'm not. I will see you in the next one. Bye.